My path on learning to be more simple in life has really been a process and a journey. Back when I was in my 30s, I had, at one point when I was working business to business sales, I had two closets full of clothes. And I would wake up in the morning and go, I don't have anything to wear. What could I wear? It was like, um, and then when I didn't have as much self love, it it felt like a lot of times I needed something new to make me feel like valuable or pretty, or getting my hair done or doing something expensive was what made me feel good. But it didn't last. Then it was like you need something new again to make you feel like you look amazing. And so I went through this whole process, and I got out of corporate America for one because that was sucking my soul. It was a very competitive driven and not in integrity at all with my core values and what I believe. So I got out of corporate America. That was part of my path on starting to simplify my life. And at one point, I lived in this really big house. I had 5 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, which is a lot to clean. And then I couldn't afford it at one point after leaving corporate America. Things started to spiral down. And so I got roommates, which was not that simple because, they had different ways of doing things and living. And it was created more stress in my life. And so I ended up simplifying even more. So it's just been this path of simplifying. And now my husband and I have simplified. Once we met, we were in a 3 bedroom house. And you know what I found? If you have a bigger space, you're going to fill it. It's like, I don't know if it's human nature or just the way that we've been programmed. I'm not really sure, but that's what I found. We had a 2-car garage, and it was full of tools and kids' toys, and we didn't feel the need that we had to get rid of it when we had the space to hold it. And the same with cabinets and stuff. I mean, it was still organized, but they were still full with stuff that we didn't use. And we ended up downsizing to an RV at one point. And so that made us really assess, what do we use and what do we need. And even in this RV, it held a lot of stuff. We still were carrying way more stuff than we used or needed. And so then our RV broke down, and we got into a point, we ended up releasing that, and getting down to just basics. Okay, we need a roof over our head and food to eat. That's what we really need. So in this process of downsizing, it was challenging at first because my husband is very sentimental. If anyone related to him, or a friend gave him something along his path, it was sacred to him and special. And so being able to let go and release things was not easy. That was my grandma's. Oh, my daughter gave that to me. So but we did. We started releasing more and more. We even had a fire ceremony, where we released a lot of things that we had made. Even my husband had this staff that he had carved by hand, and a lot of really amazing medicines that meant a lot to us. And we just decided we don't need these outer expressions of medicine. We are the medicine. So we don't need to carry these things around with us anymore. And so we had this fire ceremony and released these things. And we got down to just our suitcases of clothes, and that was it. And that was, going through my toiletries and downsizing. I had really downsized a lot because most everything has chemicals in it. So on my path of learning to be more simple, I learned that most cleaning supplies, makeup, hair products, all of that stuff is chock full of chemicals. And if I'm going to have self love, I'm not going to put chemicals into my environment or onto my body. And so releasing those, and that was, that was a process of learning, reading every single label. I don't care what it is. Like, I would read the salt if I was at a hotel, and often I would find chemicals and things that were not for my highest good in even a salt package of salt. Unless you know what it is, research it along with its side effects. And then you can make the decision for yourself whether you want to consume it or not. But I chose to not put anything that I felt would be really harmful for me in my body temple. And so that was one more way to simplify. I had one bar of soap that was all plant-based. There were no chemicals whatsoever in it. And it came in a bar. I read everything. There was absolutely no makeup that I found that was not chock full of chemicals. And I had an issue with my eyebrows because I overplucked them when I was younger and it bothered me. And so I actually mixed cacao powder with some oil, coconut oil, and I would use that for penciling in my eyebrows because our skin is our biggest organ, and whatever you put onto your skin is going directly into your system. It doesn't have the benefit of going through your stomach and your liver to help break down toxins. It's just going straight in. So any lotions that you're using, shampoo, conditioner, hairspray, makeup, anything like that is going straight into your system. And these chemicals, and people wonder, why are they getting sick and why they're having all these problems? Well, all the processed foods that we've been programmed to eat and think that they're okay, and all these chemical products, even most soaps that you can buy have tons of chemicals in them, even for just washing your hands. And your hands have chakras in them, and so if you're putting toxic chemicals, they're not good. So you really need to be mindful and educated on everything that you're using. And that's going to help you simplify. Now, the only thing that I use for cleaning product is vinegar, and maybe I'll put a little baking soda with it. It bubbles up, it cleans amazingly. And they're not harmful to the environment, and they're not harmful to my body. So if it gets on me, then it's okay. But, and soaps, the only soaps that I will use are ones that are mostly homemade by people who don't use any chemicals or toxins. It's just really educating ourselves and not purchasing these toxic products that we've been so conditioned to. We are creatures of habit, and a lot of times we get the same thing that we always got. Oh, your mom bought Tide, well then you buy Tide, and then you're buying the same chemicals, and it's going into the environment, into our clothing, onto our skin. All of these toxins are going to affect us. So that's one thing that I learned on my path of being simple, releasing the more and more things that I purchased. And so I'm not this just consuming. I don't need to make as much money or feel that I need to. I mean, abundance is everywhere and it's everything, but I don't have this stress of I've got to make this much money because I have these habits of purchasing all these products. I don't. I've detoxed my body and I only eat raw foods now, and I don't need to purchase Botox. I don't need to go get my hair done. I don't need to purchase all these makeup products to feel like I look good. I don't need to buy new outfits. I wear a lot of the same things. All my clothes that I have fit into a suitcase. So I don't have that many, and I now know I don't need that many. My husband, he would wear a lot of the same things over and over, and I thought, people are going to think you don't have any other clothes. So I bought him all these new clothes, and he wouldn't really wear them, you know. And I learned from him. Had released. We were going to live on a tropical island, and which ended up being Mexico, which is the same. It's still a warm climate. So I had released all my cold. Why can I say cold? Cold clothing. Anyway, I had released all the clothing that I had for cold weather. And I ended up being stuck without a passport to meet with my husband for like 7 weeks. And I had already I had like 1 or 2 outfits, and I found that's all I really needed. I had 3 outfits that my friend ended up, offering me some clothes, and I wore the same things often. Every day I would wear the same sweater, and I wasn't too worried about who saw me, whatever. And I found it really reduced a lot, like the laundry that I did. So I wasn't as stressed out doing all this laundry, and it's releasing the judgment about what other people will think about you. And that's the most freeing thing, really. And, when it got dirty, yeah, I would wash it. But often, our clothes aren't necessarily really dirty when we're washing them. It's just in our mind. They're our programming that we've been conditioned to. Before that, I would wear one outfit and wash it. If they would go after one day, it was in the dirty clothes. Now, I don't do that. I don't have as much to wash. I don't have as much to stress about. So I'm not, and living that more simply, it's reducing stress on the environment too. And, in my life, it's a win-win for everyone to live more simply. So just really reflect on some of the ways that you can live more simply, even in the foods that we eat, really cutting back on buying a lot of things that are going to be harmful for our body temples. Now, one of my favorite meals is this. I cut up an avocado, throw a little Himalayan salt on it, and that's all I need. So, and it takes away the stress of thinking, oh, what am I going to make? I have to make some big meal. Or you don't. I mean, you can if you want to, but you can choose to live more simply too. So I hope this helps you on your path of learning to live more simply. I love you.